thanks for coming today to our forum on the new library website, or newish updated library website. So my name is Ariel Andrea. I am part of the Science and Engineering Libraries, Chemistry space, and I am a member of the LWS team. And we've also got the rest of the team here as well, so I just want to point out who they are. So there's Dave Luke, he's our chair. We have Ian Benton, who is at College Library, and then we have Jesse Nemec, who is part of the SDG, Shared Development Group, and our web designer. So a lot of this work was also done when Casey Shocker was part of our team, so we just want to call her out and say that anything that you don't like is actually Casey's.
Right.
And she's not here to say that, so she can watch the archive and that'll be fun. So if you have a device and you want to look at the site live, you're more than welcome to do so. If you can't see the URL up there, it's just our usual URL, library.wis.edu, and then just add LWS dot in front of it. So lws.library.wis.edu, that will get you to the current version of the updated site. Before we get started, and I'm going to walk through some of our reasoning behind some changes, walk through some of the major changes, and then we're going to use most of the time for question and answer. And before I get started, I do just want to note that we have not moved all the content for the site over yet. So if you're poking around, you're going to find dead links, and you're going to find content that doesn't exist yet. And it will exist. Also, if you're going to look at this on a mobile device, please know that the mobile sites are not completely finished yet. So the site is fully mobile. It'll compress everything. It'll work on a mobile device very well, in fact, but we don't have all the stylings quite done yet. So just so you know. All right. So why are we doing this now? Why is this happening? Well, there are a lot of reasons. First off, it's been 3 years since we made any real updates to the look and feel of our site. 3 years is a pretty long time in web land. Our website, our current website, I'm going to switch back and forth between these a bit during the presentation. It's starting to look a little tired. We know that there are things in the site that don't function the way people would like them to. And we really haven't had a good way to make changes to the site to reflect those needs. Also, SDG wants to change the back end of our site, so the way that the platform it sits on. And that's because right now, the library website and all of our other discovery features, so the catalog, databases, UWDC, all of that stuff is on a different structure. And so now they will be on the same back-end platform, which means more integration and easier to maintain for our tech people and easier editing for us eventually, more flexibility and things. So because of that, this just seemed like a really good time to do some design changes to the site. Also, our site has, like I said, 3 years is a long time for the web, and UW-Madison and UMark, their marketing team, has implemented a new design for, this has been out for a while now, but a new design for the UW-Madison look and feel. And we are not currently in line with that. And so a lot of the design choices that have been made for the new site are bringing us into the look and feel of campus sites. So you'll notice that in the site. All right. So how did we make these decisions that I'm going to point out to you today? Well, we have a lot of data on how the site currently works. We collect data through usage statistics, heat maps, what people click on. We have conversations with all of you about what works and what doesn't, where people are having pain points. And we also do a lot of user testing with the different groups that interview our users and see how they're using the site. And so taking all of this feedback, we've been able to do a design overhaul that will hopefully meet some of these needs that we've discovered that maybe are more pain points in the current site. So I'm going to step through some of the main changes, and then we can ask questions. So first off, you'll notice that the navigation is different. What we have actually removed the collections and services options from the navigation and the subjects option because they were not functioning as we initially intended. Our old collections navigation, you'll see here, really did not have a lot of links under it, and it wasn't meeting that need. It's not that we've removed it now, but it's not that collections aren't important. It's just that we've been able to put those links in different places that hopefully will get users to find them more readily. Also, the services page, services navigation, it was becoming a bit of a junk drawer. So we have a lot of services on this campus, our campus libraries, and they need to be grouped in ways that people expect. And right now, just putting everything in services just was no longer making sense for us. So after a lot of discussion, we've broken the services out into 3 main areas: borrow and request, research support, and instruction support. And I'll touch on each of those and the content under them in a minute. But what we're really focusing on is we're organizing around these service areas in terms of the use of our collection, the support we do for researchers, and the support we do for instruction. And that touches everyone in the library. It also reflects campus priorities a little better. So another change up here is we have renamed locations, libraries. Instead of libraries, it's now locations. And that really reflects some of our consolidation changes. We're going to have spaces that maybe aren't libraries that we still want to highlight, give hours, information about. And so this just made sense. Another big change that you'll see is this red bar at the top. So while the navigation will stay the same on every page within the library website, not just the home page, but every page in the website, if you go into the catalog or a database, this part goes away and you get stuff for the catalog, right? This red bar at the top stays across everything. So all of our discovery options, everything has the red bar. This is also more in line with UW-Madison's design. So all UW content is now under here to get to their homepage, email, all that stuff. This is very similar to what you'll see on other UW-Madison websites. All of our login information for the libraries is under login. And we've moved help from the navigation up to this top level so that it's available everywhere. We're still working on the content that needs to be under help because we need content from a lot of different groups, since this help page is now going to support the catalog and all of the discovery and the website. It needs to be clear and it needs to be focused, and we're not quite there yet with that, but we'd love feedback on that from anyone. And finally, the site search is still up at the top. Another thing that's changed a little bit is Ask. In the current site, we have Ask on every page up in the top, and it's pretty clear, but we really wanted to pull Ask out even more and make it even more of a clear link for users. It really is. This is a really intentional thing we're doing here. Ask is a really major brand investment that we have in the libraries for connecting people to our librarians. And so having this in our navigation structure is important, but this will also stay on every site. So where you're in the catalog, in the discovery, that Ask bar stays there. And it has slightly different functionality now. When you click on it, a panel comes out and you actually get all of the email and the different methods for contacting us right away, instead of having to click into a separate page to get that information. Tech support or all that stuff is right here. And then chatting will close the tab and open the chat box for assistance. So expected functionality and hopefully giving users a few more links to contact us if needed. Now, getting into the banner here, the main focus of our website is, of course, search and finding information. So we still have, a whole little searching area still functions very similarly to what we have on the current site with the red button and the search box. It actually does pull out a few filters that weren't available in the other one, and so there's a little more functionality right on the homepage. And then we're balancing that with this banner image. The banner image can either be just an aesthetically pleasing image like we have right here, or it can be more of a promotional image with text, should we want to promote a feature of some kind. We're actually doing more with crediting images as well. We have this UW marketing credit that you can pop in and out, and we can also put text there about the images for if we wanted to do that. We will have, I'm sure some of you may be thinking about the size of the image. and that there's a large image at the top of our website. And we've had some questions about where this hits on the fold of the website. So we have this image, and is that going to be above or below the fold for people to see? And I have a couple of things to say about that, but there's no right way to do it. So we want to hear your feedback on what you think about the design. But we are trying to create a site that really is more than just a list of functional needs. We want to create an inspiring site. We want to create inspiring spaces on our campus and in our libraries, and those spaces can be online. So we want to use imagery so that users see themselves in our spaces. If they want to come to our spaces, they want to use our services. So that's part of the reason for the imagery on the site. It really is to invoke an emotional connection and response with users. We can also use it for promotion. But also, in terms of a fold and where information sits, because of the amount of screen resolution, different options for viewing our site on mobile, tablets, laptops, massive screens like this, there really is no fold anymore where we can say, this is the fold, this is what people see when they click on the site in the browser, and then they scroll, right? We really can't say that anymore. Another thing to note is that we have found through user testing, we've read through web design, Jesse keeps up to date on web design, but we have found that, and I'm sure many of you have noticed this in your own usage of the web, we scroll. We are much more inclined to scroll down a website than maybe we used to be. If you see a site with an image and then you see there's at least something under it, you're inclined to scroll. That's a problem with our current site because right now the image stops and it looks like there's nothing else there. People aren't as inclined to scroll. But if you're on Reddit, for example, and you're just scrolling through all the links and you never hit the bottom, people are used to that now. That's becoming more of a common thing on the web. So we're less concerned about people not exploring the rest of our homepage. So that's kind of some information about the banner image and why it's there. Then we get some more information down here. On the right side, we're focusing mostly on promotional material. So this could be over here, this Poison Squad, and then these boxes here on the side. These could be news feed. These could be specific things we've pulled out to highlight, a resource or something. It's very flexible space. We could have more or less of these. It's flexible for promotion. These three boxes in the center, these are all based on data from our current site. So we have found through user testing, through site searches, and through talking with you, those public services librarians who are the patrons, databases are a major issue on our site. People are not finding them. They're not clear. Right now on our current website, top 10 databases is the only time the word database appears unless you change the drop-down search. And so that page gets a ton of hits. And we don't know if that's because people are just looking for databases or if they really want the top 10 list. So we've brought databases out with some more information and some more ways to get into them. And we're going to see how that works for users. We've also brought Ask out for some additional contacting a librarian, just really getting that out there that we are here for people. So you can contact information is still here. And then spaces and equipment. These are some of the most used links on our site as well. And we really want to call out the different spaces and ways you can check out our things. So that information has been pulled to the front as well. Scrolling down more, we have our hours. We wanted to be able to put a subset of hours on the main website for quick access for people. And we've chosen the largest locations, the locations with the most traffic, with a link then to view all locations. These links, though, we have found through user testing and through speaking with users that they really do use Google to look at our hours, which is why we haven't pushed hours higher on the page. They don't really think ways to go to our websites to look at our hours. We are trying as LWS to get a hold of all the Google sites for the libraries and get those hours under control because we know they do show up wrong sometimes. It's very difficult. Anybody can contact Google and say that the hours are wrong and they just change it. So we are working on that. These links for the classroom, these were the 3 other links from the current homepage that we knew we still wanted to have on this homepage. And so we grouped them under for the classroom because they all are kind of related to instruction. So we have reading lists for students, putting things on reserves for instructors, and then our course and subject guides. We're interested in getting feedback on that part for sure as well, because we're not 100% sure how this whole little box is working right now. And finally, we have the workshops and events feed at the bottom. We are thinking about how this can contract and change as more and less events are in the library. And because we're using this modular interface for the library for the homepage, we can kind of move stuff around easily, put in new things. It just makes it easier for us to change up our homepage on the fly. We really like to think of the library website and the homepage especially as a living page. So it's not static. As soon as we change something, or as soon as we go live, this is not going to be how it is forever, right? We want to be able to be flexible and meet the needs of our users. One last thing to note down here, Creative Commons. We have put that in the bottom of the site, in the footer. I know they might be tucked behind me here. That's been something we wanted to do for a long time. We do have a Creative Commons license on our website for the content that we've made, and we want that to be clear to users. So, all right. So digging into the navigation briefly, the Find navigation is pretty much the same as it is now. We have access to all of our discovery mechanisms, and then we have the links that we're currently under Find. We've put them out to the side and broken them, or put a heading resources by type, because they really all are different types of resources that people might want to find. We then have the subject search that was in the navigation before here. So if you click on subject areas, you get that list of subject pages from the previous subject navigation. Locations has become almost an app in a way, where we're trying to bring together the list of library hours and list of libraries, the library map list, libraries by feature, all in one place. And so here I can see, the art library. I can click on this, see information about the library. I can get to its homepage very quickly right here. If I click on this map, it will take me to the campus map, where I can then see the more area around it. Over here on the right, I can also do some searching. I can view dates to see when the library is open during a certain time period. I can see which libraries were open now, and it'll immediately filter the list. And I can check a bunch of boxes on here to see, libraries that have a cafe, libraries that have a book scanner. You are going to be able to do more than one at once, but right now it's not quite working. But it will. So that's just kind of a nice way to view our spaces. And we still do have links down here to study rooms and campus map, like we did on the old libraries page. Borrow and request. So this is really focusing on stuff we check out and things we can get for you. It's really kind of about the collection, and that's where these types of services have been grouped. This includes placing course materials on reserve, access issues and policies for community users and other users. All that stuff has been grouped under this heading. The research support page. This is a page that we have been trying to do for a long time. So a lot of this work was started by Jean Ringer Hansen when she was on the library website team, and then also on the Steenbock page. And making these, we eventually made on our current site a researcher support website that had a list of services. And it was really the only way we could get that kind of list in the current library's homepage structure. So now we have this pulled out, and so we could really highlight services around research support from all over the libraries. So some of the imagery here we're still working on. We want to make sure that it's more generic so that it can be science or humanities or social science. We want to make sure that the imagery on the site is inclusive, not just for people, but for disciplines, thank you, so that everybody knows that the services are for everyone. And then we've made quick links on the side to really get into services that people kind of already know about or might know that they want right away, like citation manager support or finding a subject librarian. We've also pulled out these little links underneath each of these. Some of them, once again, quick access to a service, but they also give context because some of this content is new to our site. And so users are going to need some more clues to kind of figure out how to use it. Instruction support. Same thing on our current site. We have a page for instructor support with a list of services. So we used this as a template and met with the teaching and learning office and built out this navigation structure, including how to request instruction, and then slightly less, we have the main links here, and then slightly less important links over on the right-hand side. So information on getting stuff into Canvas, all that kind of stuff is here for users. And the About navigation is actually almost identical. We've got our directory and administrative information about the site, employment, stuff like that. All right. So before I take questions, I will just make one note. So the way this whole process is going to work is we have until June 28th to get feedback. And then we are going to freeze the site on that day at noon. So June 28th, we will freeze the current library website. And any changes you make to the site after that point will not be in the live version of the site when we go live. So we'll talk to web editors about that and how the freeze works, but know that we will be building out a lot of content between when the freeze starts and when we go live, which is tentatively Tuesday, July 16th. Okay, so between those like couple weeks in there, we are going to be building out some new pages and things because we don't really have a mechanism right now to build pages in the new site and have them work. We have to wait until the site freeze happens. So we are really excited to get feedback on this. And if you are not, if you want to ask questions now, you certainly can. And if you don't feel comfortable or you see something in weeks later that you want us to know about, email us, LWS. I have the email written on the board there, but also it's lws-lib@list.wisc.edu. That'll go to the team, and that way we'll be able to take your feedback. But otherwise, I'd love to hear questions. Jesse.
So I assume,
one second.
So let me pause and interject here. We're gonna come around with a microphone, so you can stay where you are, and I will come around.
I'm just wondering, so I assume like library pages themselves are also changing significantly.
So like the pages under the homepage?
Yeah.
Yeah, so not significantly.
Oh.
The look and feel will change. It'll be more like white background instead of the tannish color. But otherwise, the navigation, the sidebar navigations, the way certain things work, it's going to be mostly the same. We're not doing a full overhaul of the site, which is why we've kind of shied away from calling this a full like library website redesign. It's really a homepage and navigation update. And then if there's additional things that need to be changed within the like sub pages later, we'll be able to do more of that. But that hasn't really been touched that much. Yep. Yeah.
So current local web editors will have similar ways of getting at that content and editing.
Yeah, so I can show a current small or local site. I'll go to college for that. So the one thing to note about these is we're not done styling them yet. So that's why I wasn't going to show unless somebody asked. So, which I should assume somebody's going to ask, right? We care about all local sites. So the way the local sites are going to work is very similar to the current way they work. You have a promo at the top, information about your site with contact information, your lists of links that you want to put in front of users, and your navigation. Navigation's also up here for the we aren't done, Jesse's not done styling it yet. It's, you can tell right now it's a bit sparse looking, bit open space. So it's not finished yet. But you still will have those options to customize your site with your blog posts and your featured items, your picture feed, all that stuff will still be available, and hopefully more. Because when we share the same backend as the catalog, we're hoping that we will be able to do better targeted lists, images from the catalog, stuff like that will be easier to do once we have all this migration done. So don't judge this one too harshly, but you can go and take a look. I think maybe only college is the one that's fully built out though.
It's not fully built out, but it's the most complete.
Yeah, Jesse says that's the most complete one, so. All right. Yeah, Jess?
Super trivial, but is Steenbock Library the only library that has conference rooms that people can reserve?
I do not know.
It's just like the one thing that I kind of wondered, because sometimes people want to reserve our conference rooms and they can't because they're used by someone else. And they're like, oh, are there other spaces in the libraries that I could reserve that are conference rooms? And I'm like, I actually don't know the answer to that.
So the specific answer to that would be that there are larger rooms available in other libraries. I don't know that you would necessarily call them conference rooms, the same way you call 240 and 340 a conference room here. So for example, room 2258 at college is about 25 feet long and 12 feet wide, and it can fit a dozen people, projector, and audio, and so on. The Silver Buckle Press room could be called a conference room. We have some mock-ups of library spaces that attempts to deal with this, that people will come looking for specific kinds of spaces, not just study rooms. It's nowhere near ready to roll out. We had a ISIP student work on it last semester, and so we've got some ideas about that. You're coming to look for a large space, you're coming to look for an active learning space, you're coming to look for a presentation space. So we've got some plans to do that.
Yeah, I think part of the new website that I really like is how we're pulling out spaces and equipment and in a way that's more generic so that you could link in and see a list of all of our spaces, right? Not just the study rooms or not just spaces at a single place. So we're hoping that this is a way that people can think about new ways to display content.
Let's have a comment.
Get the comment and
I like this, that's great. I guess I'm conflicted about the find button, the find link on the top.
this
And
guy,
that's- Yep.
okay,
Just because I feel like I'm already there, like right here at the homepage, that's my find screen. Because everything on the find screen is accessible in some way through that drop-down menu, right? All of the same things, and I pulled some things out. And I will say, full disclosure, I did not even know there was that find link on our current library's website. It's over to the left, I never looked, and I've never actually used it before. So I just wanted to comment.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's
And I don't know
something,
what to say about it. Like, it seems redundant. Like, I get that it is different information, and on your homepage, it's nice to have some of that different information displayed. That's not about finding things. It's about more like spaces and equipment and things like that. But it just seems.
so, one thing I guess I can say about that is this is the full library website navigation, and so it needs to have that searchability, we need a link into search from any page on the library website. And so if
When
we,
you go to find, you don't have that link. You don't have, right, when you go to that find, click on that link. I don't have anywhere to search.
well, no, I mean, we have access to all the searching options are here. And so if I'm in like a page under community users or something, I'm somewhere else in the site, we need a way to get people to our search. And so that's what this find is doing. Now, could this be a search box? Like when you click find, maybe the actual search thing comes up again? That's certainly a possibility. That's something to think about for sure. I don't think we'd want to hide it on the website, the main thing, because we like we like things to be, to function the same on every page. So if something's gonna be the same on every page, it should function the same. So find disappears on the home page, but then it's on other pages. It's kind of weird too. But I totally agree that that is something we can look at. Thank you. Yeah, Dave.
This is kind of a related point, I think. The search box, I think on the current webpage, there's a single dropdown. So you've only got the option to, navigate between catalog databases. And now we have a search box that has multiple dropdowns.
Right.
And I do kind of wonder if the upper dropdown where it says search the catalog is going to get lost a little bit. And I mean, it's mitigated a little bit by the fact that databases now has its own heading on the front page. And I think that's a good idea. But I'm just wondering what kind of thought process went into the design of the new search box.
So we have gotten the feedback that this drop down here with the caret is too light, that it needs to be called out more, and Jesse's working on that. So we're hoping that that mitigates it. The other reasoning is, we've been, as you said, on the current site, we do have this drop down for each of the searching buckets, we call them, the different discovery areas. So we're maintaining that, but people also wanted more ability to do specific types of searching right on the homepage. And right now we don't have that, right? You're gonna search the catalog, you just type stuff in and it does a keyword search. So now we're giving people more flexibility at the start. So that's the goal. But we do agree that this is not ideal, and we're hoping to pop it. Because right now it's a red button.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see that it's actually a drop down.
Yes, agreed. So it's good to keep hearing that though, because it's definitely something we want to change.
I'm going to continue on that thread, but I also have another comment.
Yeah.
On the old site, when you do that drop down, there is like a little explanation for each thing that tells you kind of what it is.
Get there. Yes.
Which I think is great, because I think a lot of people just see the acronym UWDC and they're like, what is that?
Correct.
And so just to speak to Anne's point, like at least on the find page, there's a space where you kind of, if you go to the find from the top, you learn about what things are, like this is what this is and that's what that is. So, comment, just make a comment.
No,
I like
that's
that.
really great.
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking about is even on the front page or all these pages, there's many small images. And you mentioned one of the things about the old website is that it felt tired. And I wonder, is there a rotation policy in place? Like there's so many images,
Yes.
which I think is great, but obviously they're going to get old over time.
Yes.
Or we always see the same librarian on the front page or what have you. So just wanted to throw that out there, and I'm sure that you have thought about it, but my question is, have you thought about it?
Yes, we have thought about it. So the imagery on the site. So right now, actually, I'll share a little thing that isn't so much a secret. Imagery on our current site is very hard to manage, and it's only one image, right?
Mhm.
But the sizing of it, the way it displays with the text and the search, and actually getting images is difficult. So what's really nice about the new site is the images are smaller, so we have more flexibility in what types of images we use. But also we recognize that some of these are going to need to change more readily, more often. This is a promo or an aesthetic image, and it changes on reload. So this will be changing a lot, just like the current site does. And these ones over here are all promo, so they'll be changing pretty regularly too. I think for these ones, we see them changing less often, but still changing, because I doubt she wants to be the face of Ask for the rest of time, right?
Right.
So one thing we've noted, we've been making use of UMark's new communications imagery library. I mean, if you've never looked at that, anybody can access it and use their images, which is really nice. However, they don't have that many images of our spaces and things that we would want. And we don't want every image on the website to be book stacks, right? Or like stacks of books. Like I feel we do that enough. So, and we also don't want every image to just be generic student on device, right? So we want to get pictures of people in our spaces. And so Ian and Jesse have actually been going out and taking a lot of photos, and we're going to keep doing that in all the different spaces and build our own library a little more, that is definitely a goal. So, yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, come on.
One tiny thing, just because I noticed initially, when I first started looking at the page, I just kind of went, there's a lot of stuff on this main page. And I do kind of wonder, after you explained that the stuff on the right is meant to be more promotional, it's a little bit more, it's like gonna roll over a little bit. And if I look more closely at the content, that would have been obvious. But I wonder if there's a way to kind of space that out a little bit more, like make it more clear that this is like the rotating content, because I think that would highlight the other boxes a little bit better too. It would make it seem like these are the constants, and this over here is different kind of material. It's different information, so it can be considered a little bit differently.
That is a good idea. So we've gotten similar feedback already today about that. People saying maybe we should have some sort of heading over there that says news or highlights or something. People saying, changing the way places the text displays. I think that's really good feedback. And I agree, like right now we have this big image and then we have all these images and they're all together, right? Maybe breaking that up a little more could be a possibility. And so we'll definitely be taking that feedback. Thanks. I think in the back.
So you kind of already mentioned this about the for the classroom and the site. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I feel like it does provide like some quick access for students, and I'm not sure that they would find them in the other places that they're at. But it's kind of like it just seems odd, and I think it takes away, like it makes the workshops and events like farther down the site, and it's like it seems like it's odd in the middle of what else it's presented as. So I just have mixed feelings about it, and it also kind of it makes me think, well, why not for the researcher, the same quick kind of link. So anyway.
Yeah. So these, I totally agree. These are the remnants of the links that were on our current homepage that we had not found a spot for, based on the new stuff we wanted to put in. So we have a couple ideas for what we could do, but we could definitely like move this workshop box up and put it next to ours. And I'm not sure what we do with this content. It's something we need to keep thinking about, but I agree, it's not ideal right now. So yeah, I don't have a lot more to say about it. We've been struggling with that part.
Mention it, yeah.
So, but thanks. It's good to know that we're not the only ones that feel that way. Yeah, Anne?
Okay, this might not be a problem at all, but,
Okay.
so I clicked on the finds link up there.
Uh-huh.
And then when you click on, after you do that, when you click on catalogs,
Mm-hmm.
your search is automatically limited to UW-Madison. Is that,
So that is a decision by the discovery team. How any like the default way that search works, that is not LWS. So if we have concerns about that, we need to take that to the forward team. Dave?
Well, let me just say that our current, this looks like our current site doesn't do that.
right,
So
Oh,
it's probably just a switch in the URL that we have to set.
Oh,
I just
So that's
know if it's
sorry.
intentional or not, that's okay.
That's a good
Okay.
detail catch.
watch me not know what our default
Well-
settings
You're just
are.
gonna do Ariel, it's okay.
Yeah, Ariel, your point is right, that that's not really our decision, but it is not doing what
Yeah,
our live site is doing, but it's an easy fix.
it shows how often I search the catalog these days. So, shame. All right. Any other questions, Jessica?
So this might just be very personal to me. Overall, I think the site is super beautiful. I love all the images and
Don't worry, do
everything.
not take the feedback personally.
For me, when I was on the homepage, I really liked everything about it, but I found just that top part with the search the catalog overlaid over the image, like it felt like a lot for me to kind of process when I was looking at it. And I kind of like, if you scroll way down to where the workshops and events are, I like how that one is, and it doesn't show up very well on your screen, but
No.
how it's more like black and white and kind of faded in towards the end, and that might look dumb up there, but I could kind of imagine that maybe for me it would be a little
It is a
Little
bit
bit.
bright, and I think we are gonna need to be very mindful about the images that we use in the banner so that it doesn't get too visually busy. We have a lot of people in the imagery right now. I think breaking it up with less people, more stuff, and changing that around may help. One of these, if I refresh the page a couple times, we have a third image that I think, of course, it won't give it to me now. Come on,
Oh, yeah, I think I have it up on
the
mine.
white one.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
the tables in the corner. Yeah,
There.
that one does like, I agree.
It's
And I mean,
a-
I think it looks nice as is too, just.
No, I
Tiny.
think we've gotten that feedback too, that it, depending on what image is displayed, it can be a little visually, a lot. So it's something we need to be aware of. Thanks. Any other questions? Any questions from chat, Ian? Okay. Are we sure? Going once, because we have until, what, 3:30? So, that's okay. You guys are just all in awe and mouths agape with the beauty and majesty of the new homepage. I'm fine with that. Oh, Jesse's got one. She's.
I think I saw it previously as I was poking around, but you mentioned before that the collections from the top is gone. So kind of where does one, not that people are visiting that a ton, but where does one find that now? Like if they want to know, there's special collections, there's digital collections, there's whatever kind of collections.
Right. So that stuff has been put in a lot of places. So we did a card sort, which is basically where you take all the links in your site and you try to organize them under different things. And so a lot of that stuff got broken up in different spots. So some of it is under fine because some of the information there was, the collections were like newspaper collection, dissertation collection, the digital collections. So that's been put under fine. So the majority of it is there. The about information, we never really had a lot of about content for our collections. We had the page and for about our collections, but it was difficult to get content for that section. And so we currently don't have it up as such anymore, do we, Dave? Is it
I
somewhere?
mean, the about library collections,
Yeah,
it's under borrow and request.
it's under borrow and request now, okay. So that's the other place where a lot of this stuff had gone, yeah, there it is, about library collections. So we put a lot of the physical and use type stuff under borrow and request. So it does kind of give that one a little less of a, it's not one of the big links anymore, it's a side link.
But that page will stay. In general, it'll stay.
It'll stay, it'll
Okay.
look exactly the same as it
Okay.
does now.
I'm just
pretty
thinking
much.
for in terms of the orientation handbook, because we link out to it now, so.
Yes, it'll
I'll
stay.
take all that in general.
And we would like more content for that area. We would like to call out more things about our collection that's special. I don't know that about the collections is always the best place to do that either, maybe in news articles and things, but I agree, it is an important page to have. We didn't get rid of any pages, like completely kill anything. We moved stuff around. I'm trying to think if there's anything else under collections that got moved.
Well, I'll just say,
Oh, go
now
ahead.
that you draw attention to that, I'm not sure where we have a direct link to special collections other than locations. And we might want to rethink that.
Okay,
I just can't find it, and I don't remember if that was a decision or a mistake. So I'm adding that to the notes.
okay, that's really good. So thank you, Jesse. Yeah, because because on the old collection site, we did have the about the collections and then special collections, and we definitely want to have that link somewhere under the main nav for special collections.
So just another place you might think of putting it somewhere is in research support, because it is a key research support service. And that's where I went to look for it, and I was like, oh, it's not there. And so I'm not sure I would have looked for it on Find. And so just a thought.
Well, I'll just say that kind of feedback is really good because we've done some testing and we've done our own card sorts, but sometimes these things can go into one or two or three places, and we tend to not want to duplicate links. It's bad structure, but sometimes we do. But if you, over the next month or two or year, you go, yeah, I keep clicking on research support, looking for special collections and it's not there, why, that's a good feedback to provide for us, is that I keep going in this path to find something and it's not there.
I also think information about our collections will be under this finding and reviewing information section of it, but I agree it's something that could be called out at the top level.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be. I'm just saying it's a
Right.
it's a area, and since you can't go to the finding and reviewing information page, right? I thought, well, maybe it'd be there, right?
Yep.
But that it's the flow that I would think of that would be in.
Thanks.
Sorry, I keep thinking of
No,
stuff.
you're fine.
I'm wondering if some of us from this thing called Digital Library Services might want to meet with you all while we're getting, because it sounds like you're reorganizing things, you're thinking where they're going. And I know that I was in one of the focus groups where we were talking about the Digital Library Services page currently looks like it's a physical space because it has a page that looks like college, looks like Memorial, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it's a suite of services and it's no one physical space. So I was hoping that I was going to get some folks that I work with together and we were going to rethink the page, but I feel like we should be doing that maybe with you all because there's mines. Where should mines actually be? You know, digital collections is already represented in a number of places, you know, but we have some other pages too. And I don't know if, I don't know, like,
So
we might need to talk about it.
No, that is absolutely, we would want to do that with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, we'll do that with any site or any author of pages. We will help you think about your pages. However, yours in particular is a tricky business.
Yeah.
So right now, your site is one of the multi-sites or the single site pages like college, library and stuff, but you're not a location, like you said.
No.
That is something we've struggled with in the current site structure. When we do this move over, we are just going to be moving stuff over pretty much for your site. But once that's done, we'll be able to start thinking more about template, like the way that looks, right, Jesse? Yes. So
So it'll move first and then we should maybe
yes.
potentially deconstruct it.
Yeah, I don't think, we don't have, in our timeline, we just don't have time to do that. For the different pages right now, we really just wanted to focus on the homepage and stuff. But once that's moved over, we would love to work with you.
Okay.
And we'll have a whole new, there'll be new options available for changing things once we do this migration. And we don't fully know how those will all look yet. And so it'll be a lot easier once we've done the migration. And then we can get you guys talking.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Are you sure? Any other questions? No? All right. Well, I will just reiterate again that the freeze is going to happen June 28th. That's a Friday at noon. That is what we are planning on. What?
It's a week from tomorrow.
The week from tomorrow? Oh my God, it's going so fast. So please, if there was any feedback that you can think about later, or that you didn't want to share right now, please email us, lws-lib@list.wis.edu. We take all that feedback and it really does help us make the site better. And we go live hopefully July 16th. That's the plan. So yeah, let us know. And thank you all so much for coming today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.